Want to speak English fluently and confidently? You are in the right place. Practice every day for just 5 minutes, and you will see amazing progress. It is super simple, just listen carefully and repeat every word out loud. Practice your listening, boost your speaking, and build real fluency one story at a time. Get ready, it's story time. Let's dive into today's story, Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there was a kind little girl who always wore a red hood. Everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood because of the red cloak she always wore. One morning, her mother asked her to visit her grandmother and take her some food. Her grandmother lived in a small house deep in the forest. Before she left, her mother said, "Stay on the path and do not talk to strangers." Little Red Riding Hood promised and began her walk through the woods. While walking, she saw flowers and birds and stopped to enjoy the view. Suddenly, a big wolf came from behind a tree and smiled at her. He asked, "Where are you going on this fine day?" She said, "I am going to visit my grandmother who lives in the woods." The wolf smiled again and asked where her grandmother's house was. Little Red Riding Hood pointed toward the trees and said, "It is not far from here." The wolf had a clever idea and ran ahead on a shortcut. He reached the grandmother's house before the girl arrived. He knocked on the door and used a soft voice to pretend he was the girl. The grandmother opened the door and was very surprised to see the wolf. Before she could scream, the wolf locked her in a closet. Then he put on her nightgown and glasses and got into her bed. Soon, Little Red Riding Hood reached the house and knocked on the door. She heard a deep voice say, "Come in, dear." She entered and saw her grandmother in bed, but something looked strange. She said, "Grandmother, what big eyes you have." The wolf replied, "All the better to see you with, my dear." She said, "What big ears you have." The wolf said, "All the better to hear you with, my dear." She said, "Grandmother, what big teeth you have." The wolf jumped up and shouted, "All the better to eat you with." Little Red Riding Hood screamed and ran around the room. A woodcutter nearby heard her scream and rushed into the house. He saw the wolf and quickly chased him away with his axe. The wolf ran deep into the forest and never came back again. The woodcutter unlocked the closet and helped the grandmother out. Grandmother hugged Little Red Riding Hood and thanked the woodcutter. They all sat down to enjoy the food together. Little Red Riding Hood promised never to talk to strangers again. She learned a lesson about safety and listening to her mother. From that day, she stayed on the path whenever she walked in the forest. The grandmother got better and felt happy to see her kind granddaughter. The wolf never dared to bother anyone in that forest again. Repeat this story as you shadow each sentence. Shadowing helps you improve your speaking and listening faster. Practice 5 minutes a day and your English will grow stronger. Come back tomorrow for another story and more English practice. Please subscribe to our channel for more stories and practice.